my team is ready.
Oh.
Well, we'll see if that's.
We will begin our meeting in 30 seconds. We'd like to start by hearing from Interim Chancellor Brostrom.
Thank you, Chair Elliott. And first of all, I'd just like to welcome the committee to UC Merced. I'm really grateful for these 2 days that you're spending on campus. So first with the Public Engagement and Development Committee yesterday, and then today with the Presidential Town Hall. It means a great deal to me and a great deal to the campus. And it was particularly valuable to have you interact with the local officials and the real founders of the campus yesterday evening. So I have sort of a unique perspective on this presidential search in that I've worked alongside both President Yudof and President Napolitano for many years as both the CFO and now as interim chancellor at Merced. They were very different leaders, had very different styles. Both were effective in some things, and I particularly appreciate that both of them were very strong supporters of UC Merced, both under President Yudof in funding and then under President Napolitano in really supporting the Merced 2020 project, which you all had a chance to tour today. UC Merced has a particular set of needs that's distinct from other UC campuses, and they're so tightly interwoven with our mission. So a few qualities that I would encourage the committee to consider, particularly related to UC Merced. First, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this because of knowing all of you on the committee, but urge the committee to nominate candidates who are deeply committed to the mission of social mobility in the Central Valley and in California. As we said yesterday, our campus is 74% first generation among our undergraduates, 65% Pell, and the education they receive here is truly transformative, as you heard from some of them yesterday, not only to the students, but to their families and indeed to communities up and down the Central Valley and in California. As Regent Lieb knows, 70% of our students come from outside the Central Valley. And so we really appreciate your commitment to social mobility, not only in underrepresented communities or socioeconomic status, but also in geography, representing the Central Valley. Second, we also would encourage the committee to look at candidates who understand how much UC Merced still relies on the financial and administrative support from central UC offices, not only at OP, but also at the other campuses, without which we could not deliver our mission. So you're going to hear from many of my UC Merced colleagues today who are doing phenomenal work, but often you'll see that she or he is the only person on the campus doing that job. And there's no way that the campus could achieve the kind of progress that we have without the broader support from OP and indeed from other campuses. So our campus counsel, Elizabeth Gunther, may be here today. She is the only counsel on campus, so having the support of OGC. Corey Lucero, who many of you know, she does not only local government relations, she does state government relations and federal government relations. And she does a phenomenal job, but there's no way she could do that without the support of SGR and FGR at OP. Cindy Zimmerman is our sole risk manager, and it goes on down the line. So we really, we have a great working relationship with OP and with the other campuses, but we draw heavily on them to support us on it from an administrative standpoint. And then sort of dovetailing with that, we would encourage the committee to look at candidates who understand that UC as a system and the economies of scale that we are able to achieve through things like asset management, debt management, centralization of procurement. Those really enable us to deliver our teaching, research, and public service mission as effectively as possible. So a couple examples, Merced 2020 on its own without the UC system never could have been done. As part of the UC system, we're a AA entity, and we got strong support and strong demand in the bond markets because of we were the University of California. If we were a standalone private university, we never could have done this. Similarly, we invest our funds, which are quite small compared to UCSF or UCLA in the same way that they do. And we get the same, 3 basis point cost of investing that Jagdeep provides to every campus. And that really is going to help us grow dramatically. On the academic side, we can legitimately claim that UC Merced has the world's largest library. You can go visit it later. Oh, no, but being part of the UC system, the California Digital Library, and the new on-call system, we really do have access to all those scholarly resources, which are incredibly important to our faculty and students. Finally, one of the other things that I've really enjoyed about my time at UC Merced is that we are seeing, in the Central Valley, we have a much more seamless interaction between the segments, between us and the community colleges, between us and the Cal State system, especially Fresno State and Stanislaus State. And we're looking at concurrent enrollment, joint degree programs. Our graduate students have the opportunity to go and teach at the community colleges, to teach at Cal State. And breaking down these institutional barriers, I think, is incredibly important, not only for the University of California, but for the state of California. So looking at candidates who appreciate, the master plan and the array of those segments, I think would be very important. So I finally want to just thank you for taking on this really great and important work, and wish you the best of luck in this history-making search. Finally, I would finish with 2 plugs. If anyone's able to stay tonight, we have a great speaker, the author and journalist Michael Lewis, who's going to be speaking on campus at 5 o'clock at Lacaretti Auditorium. And then on February 25th, one of our newest trustees, the Honorable Antonio Villaraigosa, the cousin of our chair, is actually going to be joining the board and will be speaking on campus. So we would love to have you join us at either or both of those. So thank you, Chair Elliott.
Just to be clear, I think you meant board chair, cousin.
I don't know why you don't want to claim it.
It was you, I was, no. Thank you, Interim Chancellor Brostrom, and thank you to the entire Merced campus for hosting us here today. This is the 3rd of our 4 town halls on campuses. I also want to thank each of you in the audience for coming to meet with the special committee this morning. The charge of the special committee is to consider candidates for the position of president of the university and to recommend to the full Board of Regents the appointment of an individual to succeed President Napolitano. Appointing a president is one of, if not the most important actions we as regents undertake. As we all know, UC is a large and complex organization, including 10 research universities and 5 academic medical centers. It is also widely recognized as the best public university in the world. Therefore, it is critical that we find the right person who understands UC, is up to the challenges we may face, and be committed to maintaining UC at its best. The Regents' policy guiding the presidential search is quite detailed as to process. For those interested, that policy can be found on the Regents' website. It's Regents Policy 7701. The policy prescribes that the board chair appoint a special committee of regents who are sitting before you today. We are joined today by representatives of the executive search firm Storbeck Pimentel, who have been selected to assist us with this search. The policy also states that the special committee shall meet with designated constituent groups, which we did this past November. However, we wanted to do more. This is the first UC presidential search in which the special committee is going beyond what is spelled out in policy to make itself available for input from additional stakeholders and the public. Today's meeting is one of these opportunities. You may be aware that we have already held 2 forums to receive input from higher education organizations sponsored by the College Futures Foundation. These forums were held at UC Davis and UCLA. The special committee has also met with union leadership and UC Health leadership. We've also already held 2 of 4 town halls at UC Riverside and at UC Berkeley. And we have our final town hall at UC San Diego next Tuesday, February 4th. We hope to conclude this process and bring a recommendation to the regents in May. Your comments today will help us do a better job in finding the best person for this position. Now, before we hear your comments, we should first go around the table and allow everyone to introduce themselves very briefly. So, we'll start. Mr. Mart.
I am Eric Mart. I'm a regent designate. I'm an alumni regent from UC Berkeley originally.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Charlene Zettel, Regent. I'm just completing my 11th year on the Board of Regents, and I live in Poway. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lark Park. I'm also a UC Regent. I am serving in my 3rd year on the board. I'm really pleased to be here. This is about my 4th or 5th visit to the Merced campus, and it changes every time I come. And so very excited about all the work that's going on here, and very much looking forward to your comments on who and what we should think about when we are interviewing candidates for the next president of UC.
Hi, I'm Ann Shaw. I'm the Secretary and Chief of Staff to the Board of Regents.
I'm Gareth Elliott. I've been on the Board of Regents. This is my 6th year.
I'm John Perez. I'm the chair of the Board of Regents.
Good morning. I'm William and I'm the alumni regent, my home campus being UC Irvine. And again, like yesterday, I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. But I do want to thank the chair and then also Chair Elliott for their leadership on doing these forums at the campuses, because for me, I'm not sure I would be here otherwise, and I would have missed out on a good opportunity to hear from all of you and get the tour today. So thank them for that and look forward to the comments.
I'm Janet Riley. I am the newest UC Regent, and I live in San Francisco. My first time to UC Merced, and so impressed and inspired. So thanks for the warm welcome.
And I'm Alberto Pimentel with Starbuck Pimentel Associates, the search firm conducting the search.
I'm Debbie Stigura. I'm the Alumni Regent Designate from UC Davis. This is my 2nd visit to UC Merced, and I headed up the advisory committee that advised Regent on alumni input for this search.
Rich Lieb, Regent from the San Diego area, and also chair of the Public Engagement and Development Committee, so we were really fortunate to have a full day yesterday with a lot of really interesting things that our panel learned about UC Merced from the students, alumni, community members, faculty, staff. It was really a very exciting program, so thank you all for hosting us.
Great, thank you. Now, because we did not know how many of you would want to make comments today, we did allow people to sign up in advance in anticipation of conducting this session similar to our regular public comment sessions. And now I'd like to turn it over to the Secretary to review the procedures and ground rules for today.
Thank you. So as Committee Chair Elliott indicated, we did ask people to sign up in advance. However, if people do come in the next hour or two and want to sign up, we will add them to the list. Right now, we have about between 15 and 20 people signed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my timer at 3 minutes. That's the Regents' policy. Regents have, individuals have up to 3 minutes to address the Regents. However, you'll hear the beeper go off. Please be mindful of that, but if you have a few more things to say, I think we have time to hear and be a little bit more flexible this morning. I'm just going to call people straight in order, so I hope that works for everybody. If they're not here, when we get to the bottom, I'll go back and see if they've come in. So we'll try and be a little more flexible than we usually are able to do. So first, and also once I call you, I'm going to call 5 names at a time. Once I call your name, any order you wish to come up to the microphone is great. Just please identify yourself before you begin. So this morning we'll hear from Catherine Soule, Priya Lakareddy, Cindy Zimmerman, Danielle Armadia, and Chris Abreski.
Can you hear me? Yes. Good morning. My name is Priya Lakareddy, and I'm a contract administrator in the procurement office, and I'm also the president of UC Merced Staff Assembly for the 2019-2020 academic year. I have been at UC Merced for 5 years, and it is an honor to serve as the president at this crucial juncture in our history as we not only search for a chancellor, but also the president for the system. On behalf of the entire UC Merced community, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each of you, and I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity today. During the last 5 years, I've worked alongside the most talented, dedicated, kind, and generous staff at UC Merced and other campuses who go above and beyond in helping carry out the university's mission of teaching, research, and public service. Thank you all for everything you do. In yesterday's panel on UC Merced, a campus of choice for student success, staff members Onar Primitivo, Brian Obruba, and her custodial staff were mentioned by the students for helping them with their educational journey at UC Merced. Staff are an integral part of student success. In recent years, as UC Merced is on the rise and our students and faculty grow, staff hiring has not kept up. I've also heard this issue from my counterparts at other UCs. Many staff are being asked to do more and take on additional responsibilities without additional resources or compensation. For example, when a staff member leaves a position and another staff member takes on those responsibilities, they're not compensated unless they're doing higher level work. Also, when bilingual staff are asked to interpret or help with translation, there is no compensation for that service. As a volunteer for Staff Assembly, there is no additional compensation for serving, but the Academic Senate chairs and faculty who serve do get compensated. We hope that the president will work with their leadership team to address this issue. We hope the next president will address the issue of basic needs for staff. With UC locations in high cost of living areas, staff struggle with affordable housing and many travel hours to get to their campus. One of the solutions to travel time would be to institute a system-wide policy on telecommuting. Although we at UCM do not have the same issues with housing or travel time, some do, not most of them, we lack access to healthcare. UCM is in a healthcare desert. Most staff have to use an entire day, either sick or vacation time, to travel far distance to see a specialist or even a primary care physician. As you know, or as you may know, CUCSA is in partnership with System-Wide HR and Employee Relations, conducts a survey every 2 years. Our most recent survey was conducted earlier this year in May, June, last year. The exciting news is over 90% of the staff respondents believe strongly in the UC's mission. However, there are items that will require more attention from the next president and their leadership team. For example, in UC Merced survey, only 33% of the respondents said there is sufficient contact between senior leadership and employees, and only 44% of the respondents feel safe to speak up in this organization. Interim Chancellor Brostrom has been working with Staff Assembly to address these issues. We hope that the next president will create mechanisms for staff to provide feedback about leadership on their campus. Can I keep going? Or? We would like to see the next president with demonstrated experience in staff development and with a strong emphasis on equity, diversity, and inclusion. We need a president who will hold UCOP and chancellors accountable for creating a culture that supports staff. Currently, staff opportunities for professional development and career growth are not uniform across all campuses. In terms of diversity and inclusion, overall representation of female staff at UC remains high across most staff categories, except in the senior management ranks. In 2010, 65% of all career staff were female and 35% were male. But in the senior management group, only 36% were female and 64% were male. The latest number available from 2018 showed these numbers have remained stagnant. In terms of race and ethnicity, in 2018, the senior management group, 63% of the staff were white as compared to 30.7% in the PSS represented and 42% in PSS non-represented. We need a president who will be intentional in uplifting women and underrepresented minorities in leadership positions. For your reference, I do have handouts, and I'm happy to address these issues and any other concerns. I also think, I've not prepared the statement, but I think it's important for the president to have a staff representative from represented positions. As a Staff Assembly member, we do not have much participation with the represented staff, and I think it's very important because their needs are very different from us. And finally, one of the things I want to address, this is a personal issue, not as a Staff Assembly, I'm talking as Priya Lakarty staff member, and as a community member. There is no representation on the Board of Regents from the Central Valley, and I think it would be very critical to have that representation. So I hope that you find a candidate from the Central Valley and show to the governor and the state that you do value people from this valley. So, and I think a perfect example of that would be Joe Castro from Fresno State. Thank you.
Can you hold one second? Kum, we actually have a seat for you up here.
Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you for holding. Sorry.
Good morning. My name is Danielle Armadia. Members of the committee, thank you for seeking our input on the University of California's future, and thank you for coming to our campus. I'm a 2012 graduate of UC Merced and currently serve as a Chief of Staff for External Relations. In many ways, I do embody precisely why UC Merced was created by the Board of Regents. I am of mixed background, a proud Latina and Filipina, raised right here in the Central Valley. I am the first in my family to go on to higher education, and today I'm studying for my doctorate. This is only possible because UC Merced existed, because it gave an opportunity to a Valley kid. It fostered her, it encouraged her, it picked her up when she stumbled, and it celebrated her victories. Many people behind me know I have a lot of love for this place. I've been on this campus for over a decade. What you see around you today is not just a university campus, but what fell around you is a true community. UC Merced is more than physical spaces. It is knowledge, it is wisdom, it is hope for this region and our future. 2 years ago, I endowed a scholarship, joining several other young alumni, helping those who come up behind us. Because this is an amazing experience that should be available to more and more young people. I am saying this not to pat ourselves on the back, but to demonstrate the kind of commitment and passion we Bobcats have for our alma mater. You are choosing candidates for the presidency of the greatest university system in the world. From my perspective as an alumna, employee, and Valley native, I urge you to find someone who truly understands what we are about and treats UC Merced the way we treat our community. The university needs all the kinds of help from a president that a young student needs from their university: love, support, understanding, and of course, financial assistance. We need the next president, in other words, to be our UC Merced, the supportive, nurturing, smart, community-building, forward-thinking leader that will help us build the future in the heart of California. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for visiting our lovely campus. My name is Cindy Zimmerman, and as Nathan said, I am, well, I should say my name is I am the campus risk manager, and I am the only risk manager or risk person. So, heavy burden. As a young campus, we have shared constraints and challenges across the board. However, with challenges come opportunity for growth and innovative ways to succeed. I want to speak a little bit about a few of our growth pains as a young campus and some of our constraints that we're faced with based on our age. As a young campus, we experience funding constraints that create roadblocks for additional FTEs. Those FTEs are desperately needed to do the work in order to support our wonderful faculty and staff. These funding constraints result at times having staff wear multiple hats and increase the likelihood of career burnout. We do more with less, and we rely on an innovative and streamlined processes to help us through these growing pains. The campus continues to remain positive, and we are reminded again, it's all part of growth. We rely on the expertise and services provided to us through the Office of the President. This partnership is invaluable. I cannot begin to express how invaluable this. For me personally, I rely on OP Risk Services quite a bit, not only for their expertise, but also the services that they provide to us. The partnership is invaluable and always collaborative effort on how to strive for the next level. Services through system-wide agreements, which increase our buying power and provide the campus with services we might not be able to manage as a standalone. I have to speak to the funding provided to our young campus as we continue to strive and stand on our own. Funding, very grateful for the funding. For which, without the funding, many programs would potentially go dormant and increase our operational and reputational risk. Areas such as business continuity, disability management, these are areas that the campus simply should not be operating without. Our business continuity program actually went dormant for a few years because of funding issues. With OP Risk Services support, we now have hired a business continuity planner within the last couple of weeks. We're very excited about this. This is a wonderful time to be on our campus. As you may have noticed, the 2020 buildings are now entering into their final phase and have become a remarkable accomplishment for our young campus. The look and feel of our campus is a result of a well-rounded team, a team of staff not only on the campus level, but our genuine partnership with the Office of the President. Our faculty and students all came together to achieve this goal. As a young campus, we already We already host a Center of Excellence for Drone Technology, which we are extremely proud of. My hope is as you continue search, you keep in mind Merced's uniqueness, as we are unlike the other campuses. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Chris Abrasi. Welcome to UC Merced, and thank you for coming to hear from our community. As one of the first students here in 2005 and proud graduate from the class of 2009, my current role as Executive Director of Alumni Relations, I've seen firsthand how President Napolitano has been an advocate, ally, and fearless champion not only for UC, but specifically for our young, ambitious alma mater that my fellow alumni and I call home. I have the privilege of interacting with alumni daily and feel the pride our graduates have from not only having a UC diploma, but specifically one from this pioneering campus, a pioneering spirit that they carry with them every day in all of the great things that they're doing. The average age of our alumni may only be 27, but we are 27th in the nation for alumni giving rates, a demonstration of the fierce devotion our graduates have for their UC. I hope you will consider President Napolitano's passion and determination as baseline qualities when choosing candidates to succeed her. At UC Merced, we need a president who will understand the Central Valley and its desperate needs still today for teaching, research, and public service that uplifts this local economy. As a native of Merced, I can testify to the impact this university has had on our local economy. Our housing market was once a national cautionary tale. Now, Merced's economy is expanding, growing rapidly, and bringing more vibrancy to the city and county surrounding areas, having more young professionals like myself build affordable, interesting lives and families here in the Central Valley. We need a president who remains committed to the mission of creating social mobility for first-generation and underrepresented students. I've seen these students at UC Merced because I was one of those students at UC Merced. Being the first in my family to graduate from a university changed my entire family, allowing me to support a generation above and a generation below, and hopefully inspiring future generations of UC Merced Bobcats to come. My story is just one of 10,712 other alumni who share similar stories of how UC Merced transforms lives every day. We're building the future in the heart of California. The next UC president should consider how, in the words of the New York Times, UC Merced is and should be the future face of the University of California.
Good morning to the UC Regents and the special committee. Hello, my name is Catherine Soul, and I'm the director of the University of California Cooperative Extension in San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. And I'm here today as the UC Agricultural and Natural Resources Academic Assembly Council president. This is my 5th time to the UC Merced campus, and the passion and commitment and inspiration of the speakers before me is something that I've seen reflected here each time I've come, and actually throughout our entire system. System-wide, the UC has meaningful impacts on the health and well-being of all who live and work in California, as well as our state's economy. As you know, UC's foundation as a land-grant university ensures that the UC's knowledge and research is accessible to all people. Through Cooperative Extension, our system-wide network of researchers and educators of over 1,200 people deliver practical science-based solutions to communities, farmers, and ranchers throughout the state, reaching beyond the 10 campuses, providing opportunities for all Californians to engage with their university. Finding the right president to lead our flagship university system as a land-grant university is critical to our continued and shared successes. To this end, I'd like to offer a few additional qualifications that would ensure our next president can strengthen our work as a land-grant university. First, that a candidate has a demonstrated understanding of the land-grant mission. Second, that they have a commitment to the importance of both basic and applied research in solving critical state and global issues. Third, that they have the ability to translate the critical role and impact of cooperative extension research and education to legislators, decision makers, and other UC stakeholders. And fourth, that they have a deep commitment to engaging and supporting all who live and work in California. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, once again, any order is just great. Michael Scheibner, Elizabeth Gunther, Alfredo Gauna, Greg Camfield, and Roy Hogland.
Good morning, and thank you for coming out to the Merced campus and sharing this wonderful place and accomplishment with us. My name's Elizabeth Gunther, and if he wasn't my boss, I'd accuse Nathan of stealing all my best lines, but I just did. See, but lawyers are tricky that way, Nathan. As Nathan indicated, I'm the Chief Campus Counsel for the Merced campus, and in fact, I am the only campus counsel for Merced. And I think it's an important point, and I'm glad that Nathan picked up on it and called out Cindy and Corey as well in terms of this, because what we have to do and the role we play with very limited resources is important. By way of background, I joined the University of California in 2006, and I actually joined in Charlie Robinson's office of the General Counsel doing land use and environmental work. I started working with the Merced campus in 2008, working directly with them as their campus counsel, but I stayed resident in the Oakland office, in the Office of the President, until 2015. And that experience really helped shape how I work as campus counsel for Merced, and I think has made me more effective as campus counsel. And I think I bring a perspective that is different to the work I do for Merced than maybe is exhibited on the other campuses. That's because I see the Office of the President as part of my team, and I'm part of their team. And I think over the years, that's been a push and pull in the University of California system, how to really define the relationship between the system and the campus to the greatest impact for both, really. You know, I have to emphasize that knowing the Office of the President and having the work integrated has really been essential to this campus. So in terms of the qualities of a presidential candidate that I'm hoping you'll seek, the first is one that has there are obvious qualities about their outward-facing role. I mean, the leadership in terms of this institution, our mission, both representing and defending the institution, and also their leader as the head of an academic institution with a strong appreciation for shared governance. All those things are really given, but I'm particularly interested, you know, maybe my role is more pedestrian than many, but I'm particularly interested in their inward-facing role. And in that capacity, I think the first most important quality would be a vision for the relationship between the Office of the President and that individual and our 10 campuses. It's a tremendously complicated relationship, as you all know, and the President needs to strike the balance between ensuring the consistency and strength of the system and the diversity of the campus. As a couple of people have mentioned, including Nathan, the support that the system gave us for developing the 2020 project cannot be understated. So, Ann, I'll take just a few quick seconds because there are two other qualities that I'd really like to emphasize. But that strong vision for the role of the Office of the President in the system is first. The second is somebody who has the experience and business acumen to be a strong administrator and push that knowledge down to the staff of the Office of the President to make them effective collaborators, to continue to be effective collaborators with the campus. And then the final thing you'll hear from many people is finding a person who appreciates the diversity of the state and of the University of California and really brings a passion for educational opportunity. That's been critical for Merced, that issue of creating educational opportunity. And I've been lucky to work under two chancellors, Chancellor Leland and now Chancellor Brostrom, who have that passion and commitment, but combine it with tremendous administrative skills that then help us translate that into a functioning campus that's moving forward. Thanks for the opportunity to address you. And Nathan, I forgive you for stealing my best lines.
So, yeah, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to comment here today. So my name is Michael Scheibner. I'm an associate professor for physics and currently the chair of the Committee on Research here on campus. And as such, research recognition of this campus is dear to my heart. And as you may know, we have reached R2 status very recently, which is an amazing accomplishment of everyone here, especially given how young we are, or I should say how young the campus is. And so, and that, of course, cannot be where we want to stay. Our next goal is to join our sister campuses in becoming an R1 institution, of course. And that comes with certain requirements, basically. So, and first and foremost, that requires us to attract and also retain the best and the brightest on all levels, so students, staff, and faculty, and so on. And at the very high level, that means for the president to defend basically academic freedom, I believe, not just UC Merced or the UC system or the state, but worldwide, technically. More locally, so what that means is to have actually the space and the infrastructure to do the world-class research, while at our sister campuses that may be to a large fraction connected to maintenance of the infrastructure, although we're getting here to that point in places as well. That for us, that means despite the 2020 project, we still need to create these spaces. And that comes especially in the context of being at this stage where we wanted to start to think about R1 status, where we have to go after large-scale center grants, institutes, foundaries, and so on. Of course, in that context, it helps very much to be in the UC system and the connections to the other campuses as well as the national labs. And these connections need to be fostered. So, and there's good examples that we have already, but they could also be strengthened, the MRU, the MRPI, or the LabsFi program or so. And especially with regard to Merced, they're important because these kind of connections, they help our students have career paths into the high-tech industry, for example, and it allows them to get noticed by the experts in their respective fields, and so on. So, and so where do we go? Respective fields. So, yeah, lastly, in terms of attracting and maintaining the best and the brightest, it also requires that we have basically it takes a healthy and livable and enjoyable environment. So that includes, on the one hand side, continuing to tackle the challenges posed by climate change, on one hand side, but more locally here on the scale is it requires access and availability of medical and health services. And that is not just for us to get towards R1 status, help us in that quest, but that is important also for the broader community here in Merced, in the Central Valley. And yeah, with that I'd like to close, and I hope that this is, these aspects that I mentioned are not just on the mind of the new president, but that the new president will actively facilitate these aspects and foster them. And then thank you again for listening to me.
Good morning, Greg Camfield. I'm Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost. As you know, I've been talking to you a lot in the last few weeks. Some of the things you've heard today reinforce what I said to you when we met in San Francisco. I talked about how our campus is running lean. President Napolitano asked, what would you cut if we didn't get increased funding? And I said it wasn't what we would cut, it's what we couldn't grow into. The other campuses have different challenges. That really brings me to my main point. I think the next president has to be able to live in paradox. And there are two major tensions that we've already heard. One of them we've heard a lot about, and that is this a federal system or a confederacy? Our ability to thrive depends substantially on the center being strong. But it also matters that each campus is unique, and how the president is able to nurture the independence and experimentalism of each campus at the same time leveraging what we do together is a huge difficulty. And it's something that we want a person who finds that to be a wonderful challenge as an opportunity rather than a barrier. The second paradox I want to talk about is endemic to higher education, but again, I think our presence shows it off profoundly. And that is that higher education in its research primarily, but also in its teaching, is always cutting edge. It's always pushing the boundaries. And yet structurally, we are incredibly conservative. Our culture is one of tradition. And I think for the president to be able to manage that paradox is really important. Now, let me give you an example that I'm aware of because I'm the chair of a system-wide committee on administrative faculty committee on library and scholarly communications. Right now, the University of California is taking the international lead on changing the way we engage in scholarly publication. We're talking about a radical change in the way publishing is done so that the access to the knowledge is open from the beginning. Now, this is not without controversy, and it's not without its costs, but for us, it's a matter of mission. And it is right out front. And yet, internally, we have a challenge, because if we are pushing back against some of these publishing giants who have collected essentially public goods and put them behind private walls, Elsevier, they have a lot of the most prestigious journals. And so here we are as faculty saying, I'm not going to advance unless I follow that traditional path of publishing in the most prestigious journals. And yet, here we are right out front trying to absolutely change the way this is done. How does one manage that tension between tradition and progress? To me, the most important characteristic that a president can have is to relish jumping into those paradoxes and turning them into opportunities. Thanks.
Okay, is Alfredo Gauna here or Roy Hoagland? Okay, good.
Good morning and welcome to UC Merced. My name is Roy Hoagland. I am the director of the High Containment Laboratory Program here on campus. The University of California is one of the nation's leaders in research related to highly infectious pathogens. Such activities require constant vigilance to ensure their safe undertaking. High containment laboratories routinely handle microbes that cause serious or potentially lethal disease through inhalation, and thus require stringent engineering and administrative controls to ensure safe operation. These laboratories are some of UC's most complex and expensive facilities. Without appropriate oversight, servicing, maintenance, and engineering and administrative controls, they will not work as designed, thus increasing the possibility incidents that pose significant health and safety risks. In response to increased scrutiny of biosafety and biosecurity nationwide, and realizing the study of infectious agents is an indispensable part of the mission of the University of California, President Napolitano convened a task force on biosafety and biosecurity to identify the UC's facilities and practices for the use of infectious agents and toxins, and to make recommendations for UC biosafety and biosecurity policy. This task force queried all 10 campuses and 5 medical centers for detailed information regarding their high containment laboratories, and they provided findings and recommendations for improved biosafety and biosecurity. As a result, each campus with these types of facilities now has a high containment laboratory program, including a director and a campus committee responsible for the oversight of high containment laboratory operations, preventative maintenance, testing and verification, construction or modification, emergency management, and training. Additionally, UC established the UC Irvine Biosafety Level 3 Training Center of Excellence, allowing UC personnel hands-on training at no cost to the campuses. Recently, we developed and adopted the first system-wide Biosafety Level 3 laboratory design standard. Moving forward, we will be working on developing training standards for Biosafety Level 3 researchers and best practices for clinical microbiology laboratories. This summary of what UC has accomplished under President Napolitano is unprecedented and serves as a national example of best practices in support of infectious disease research and development and clinical diagnostics. This could not have been accomplished without the hard work of devoted staff involved in the High Containment Laboratory Work Group and campus and system-wide committees. It is our hope that the search committee seeks a candidate that has the foresight to continue these work groups and committees that are vital to the consistent and successful management of our operations. Thank you.
Thanks, and I don't see anyone coming forward, so Alfredo, I guess, isn't here. So I have 5 more people who signed up so far. Deborah Motton, Jennifer Manolay, Tom Hansford, Mark Cunningham, and Sam Trena. So once again, any order you wish to speak?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today, and welcome to UC Merced. I'm not used to using a microphone because my voice is quite loud and booming, and so forgive me if I make a mistake or get too loud. As one of my esteemed colleagues at UC Berkeley said, when I'm on a conference call and speak up, he often turns the volume down. So, as I said, my name is Deborah Moten, and I am the Associate Vice Chancellor for Research in the Office of Research and Economic Development. I've been with the university for UC Merced since 2006, and by way of my background, I have a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD, all from within the UC system, and have spent most of my adult life within the UC system in some role. I'm speaking to you today as my role as the person who oversees the Research Compliance Office within the Office of Research, but also the Sponsored Programs Office within the Office of Research. And what takes up the majority of my time on a daily basis are the emerging compliance issues that we often see that come out every year, and these days almost every day, that we have to manage both as a campus but also as a system. So an example of this would be the issue around foreign influence that we almost have to address in some manner with both with leadership and our own staff on a daily basis. But these types of emerging compliance issues are often, as foreign influence is, a very broad-ranging topic that spans numerous offices across any one given campus and does not necessarily sit within one office or within one area of authority. So it's very, very difficult to coordinate. Especially for a campus such as ourselves. As you've heard my colleagues say, we can be somewhat resource depleted in terms of staffing levels, and we are often wearing, as individuals, numerous hats. The Export Control Office resides within my office, and I have oversight of that operational activity. And so oftentimes the foreign influence issues really land squarely in my lap and have to deal with that. So we partner with a lot of our other offices across the campus to manage that, but there are other emerging compliance issues as well that we often deal with that need attention, such as cannabis policy around cannabis research and things like that. But given our campus age level and maturity, we kind of struggle to meet some of these new and emerging compliance obligations that come out seemingly on a very frequent basis. And so we know, though, that these emerging compliance issues directly impact the university's research mission. So we're very conscious of that, and we're very conscious of how these issues impact our faculty and their ability to move their research forward. So as you consider candidates for the president, we would like for you to understand UC Merced's unique position and age and maturity, and consider candidates who will take into account our need for the Office of the President's support and guidance around a lot of these issues. I myself rely on my relationships that I've built with individuals at the Office of the President greatly to navigate these issues, and we hope as you look to candidates for the President that you will consider that unique position that UC Merced has right now. Thank you.
morning. My name is Jennifer Manilai. I'm a professor in the School of Natural Sciences at UC Merced. I'm also a UC Berkeley alumna, and I'm a parent of UC San Diego and UC Irvine students. Today I'm speaking to you in my role as professor. In 2005, I proudly joined UC Merced as a founding faculty member, and I thank you for allowing me to share my perspective with you today. The efforts of our faculty to develop our research programs have resulted in UC Merced achieving Carnegie Classification Research 2 status in record time. Additionally, the campus has earned Carnegie's prestigious classification for community engagement. UC Merced is now setting the trajectory towards Research 1, that is, doctoral granting university with very high research activity, to reach parity with our UC sibling campuses. As a junior faculty member building the new UC Merced campus, I remember feeling especially vulnerable after reading a public letter authored by faculty members from our sibling campuses stating that UC Merced was a financial risk to the entire system and should be closed. Within 15 years, UC Merced has surpassed expectations and is having a positive impact on our students, their families, the local community, and the state of California. Yet, I still feel UC Merced is vulnerable as we aspire to develop the path to Research 1 status. We need a president who understands the research mission of the University of California and, in particular, understands that in order for UC Merced to reach the same level of research productivity as our sibling campuses, resources allocated to UC Merced should be commensurate with this goal. This requires a high-level understanding of the research infrastructure required at R1 institutions, including pre- and post-award grant support, core facilities, environmental issues and sustainability efforts, and outstanding financial management and strategic planning experience. Furthermore, as we move towards our Research 1 goal, it is my hope that UC Merced sustains an inclusive and supportive campus culture for our students and faculty. UC Merced's mission to excel in research, teaching, and public service is centered on embracing diversity and fostering interdisciplinary approaches and collaborations in the pursuit of scholarly knowledge. Our position as the newest research institution in the United States and our unique student demographic composition makes UC Merced an ideal institution to test and lead the nation in investigating how inclusive excellence practices can benefit all students and faculty within this context. It is critical that the UC president is empathetic to UC Merced's unique position within the system and recognizes that UC Merced is viewed externally as the future of higher education. Success of our programs at UC Merced could have long-lasting effects across many academic institutions, nation and worldwide. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tom Hansford. I'm a political science professor here at UC Merced, and I'm also chair of the Merced Division of the Academic Senate. When you are selecting the next president of the University of California, I would strongly encourage you to keep the following two things in mind, and I reserve the right to add a third if I don't get beeped out. First, a successful president of the University of California is one who fundamentally and effectively prioritizes the research mission and works to broaden access to the participation in this research mission. It is our success in the pursuit of the research mission that has made the University of California the preeminent public research university in the world. Inclusiveness in the pursuit of the research mission will help define how we measure our success in the future. I should note that UC Merced will be at the leading edge of this effort. The second thing I hope you keep in mind when searching for a president is that this search is particularly important for our campus. I think that is a thread that has been running through many of the comments you have heard so far today. We are the new, emerging UC campus. The concept of the power of 10 and the strength of the UC system as a system is critical for us. I hope that you will be particularly interested in candidates who demonstrate an understanding that if they become president, their legacy will in part be defined by the success of our campus. By our continued growth, by our achieving R1 status, by the subsequent pursuit of AAU status, and by helping support our efforts to provide a world-class, research-oriented education to undergraduates and graduate students from populations that previously did not have sufficient access to this training and its accompanying benefits. The third thing I would like you to keep in mind, and I hope to hear an echo over here, is that I'd like you to keep in mind the importance of shared governance when searching for a president, and to find candidates who will value shared governance as another one of the strengths of our system. With that, I will say thank you, and I really wish you the very best of luck with this search.
Really? Good morning. My name's Mark Cunningham. And you're probably going, oh my gosh, if you know anything about me, I'm folksy, so I did actually try to write something down, and I didn't use paper. I had the true privilege, and it is a privilege and an honor, to spend just short of 40 years at UC San Diego. I was part of that growth plan, which interesting enough was about 10,000 when I started there, whole region. I actually had the opportunity to read the original white paper about the idea of putting a UC campus in the Central Valley. I was handed to me by a chancellor and said, Mark, read this and give me some comments. I said, it's visionary. I said, this is amazing. I was very perky at those days. And I said, I hope it happens. I really do. And I think I remember I might have said something like, and could you pick a location that's really easily accessible? Oh, boy. And then I never thought anything more about it. I got a call the year we're opening here. We need help. Help. We don't have enough staff. Something's never changed. We don't have enough staff. Can you come? I jumped in my car, and I drove, and I drove, and I drove some more. Anyways, we opened. What might have been the high point of my career, my job was to stand right out here. This used to be a parking lot. I stood right there, and I went, welcome, welcome, go this way and park. I'll still remember that morning the faces of those students and their parents and the excitement and the joy. It was amazing. I remember how people looked at things. It's awesome. And I'm very touched, obviously. And I left. And I retired. And I got a call from this guy. And he said, would you come up here and help for a little bit? And he said, you don't have to wear a tie. And I said, I'm bringing a tie because I don't trust him. Anyways, I walked on the campus about 2 months ago. I was walking right up there. I was walking with all these students. I stopped, I looked at 2020, and I said, oh my gosh, our regents, our UCOP people, our faculty, our staff, our students. Oh my gosh, it's the white paper. I'm serious. I literally stopped. It's amazing. I remember sitting there thinking, why does this happen? And then I'm going to get to my points. The president has to lead. Oh, damn it. Oops. The president has to lead. The president has to put us together and bring a vision, the next great vision for this university, the next one. Bring us all together. The president has to, for your consideration, please set the values that promotes our system to serve with honor. We don't have that. And again, my apologies. UC Merced needs help. We need that. Help us. And finally, I'm going to take a shot. Because actually, what can you do, Nathan? Send me back, to San Diego and be retired, and I could be out on my paddleboard right now? I'm going to throw it out there. I want to offer, I recommend Nathan Brostrom. Come on. And no, he didn't pay me for this. And, oh yeah, what are you going to do to me? Oh, send me home, okay. I just want to put that as a true nomination. I really would. Thank you.
I'm Sam Trainer, the Vice Chancellor for Research here at UC Merced. I'd also like to welcome you here this morning. Those of you that were here yesterday heard quite a bit about portions of our research programs and how serious the students and the faculty are here in being engaged in this region of the state and having significant impacts in the outcomes of pretty much every aspect of this region. I've been at UC Merced since 2002. And the campus's research capacity and its research prowess has grown significantly over that time. It still has quite a ways to go. As you heard, we're R2. We have aspirations of being a Carnegie R1. One of the things, though, that has always been an anomaly about the research environment of this campus is that we are located in the actual breadbasket of California, the heart of agriculture in California, and yet this is not an agricultural experiment station campus. Our faculty, nevertheless, are engaged in doing that research that addresses issues pertinent to the region, pertinent to the largest economy in this region, which is, again, agriculture. President Napolitano and Chancellor Emeritus Dorothy Leland were very cognizant of this anomaly and started us down the path of being able to increase our workforce and our capacity to address issues that are of direct importance to the people of the region and to the state. So about 3 years ago, we started with staff appointments as agriculture and natural resource research specialist faculty appointed here at UC Merced. We now have 3. So these are the research scientists in the Cooperative Extension Service. I think it's really important that the next president value one of the largest industries in the state of California, one of the things that's at the core of the land grant system, and that helps us on the path to take the next step and become part of the agricultural experiment station of UC, which will greatly increase the ability of our faculty and students to impact this important part of both the state of California and the U.S. Infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have 3 more individuals who signed up. Jay Sharping, Tal Ye, and Robin DeLugan. So if they're here, any order you'd like to speak is great.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to UC Merced. My name is Jay Sharping. I'm an associate professor of physics. I came here myself in 2006, and it's really exciting to see how the campus has grown and to be a part of the University of California. what I would like to see in our next UC president is a visionary of higher education. This might be the thing that nobody wants to touch, but the master plan was a phenomenal success, but it was conceived when a smaller fraction of society was perceived to need a higher education. I would like to see someone who can champion a new master plan to bring this forward as something that the community college system, that the CSU system, that the UC system, and maybe some other elements can get us set up for the next 50 years. Thank you.
Jay didn't mention that he's chair of our UGC here on campus, so special insight into some of those issues. I'm Robin DeLugan, Associate Professor of Anthropology and Vice Chair of the Merced Division of our Academic Senate. I don't want to be repetitive because I'm hearing some themes coming around, but I want to thank you very much for getting our input on what we would like to see in the next president of the UC system. Certainly, as a member of the Senate, the faculty have established their priorities, and going from R2 to R1 is something that is our #1 priority. We were the quickest to reach R2, and I have no doubt we'll be very quick to reach R1 with the proper support. This ties very much into the power of 10. As one of my other colleagues mentioned, we are the 10th campus of the UC system. Sometimes we wonder if people recognize us as such. The smallest, newest campus, and I think the role of the president is really important to emphasize our inclusion in the 10 campus system and to give us our appropriate place, even as we work so hard to reach the R1 status that puts us on a par with our other sister campuses. One way that the UCOP does, and this is more from my own perspective and experience, one way that UCOP does support this power of 10 is through funding initiatives such as the multi-campus research and program initiatives. And I can say I started here in 2006 after a 2-year presidential postdoctoral stint at UC Berkeley Department of Ethnic Studies. And that multi-campus research programs back then were very robust. They lasted a number of years. And over the recent years, I've seen them shrink. Now they're 2-year opportunities, very demanding in terms of all that's supposed to be achieved in a short 2-year period. And I think it misses an opportunity for something more robust that could really strengthen ties between our campuses. The other way that the UCOP has been really contributed a lot to our own campus's growth is through the UC President's Postdoctoral Fellowship Program. I am a proud former postdoctoral fellow myself. I always say, once one, always one, probably. Our campus has hired a number, and we hope to hire more. And again, Janet Napolitano, President Napolitano, has been really a huge supporter of that program and ensuring its success and longevity. And we hope the next president will prioritize that program as well. Thank you.
I want to thank the committee members for visiting UC Merced and hearing our perspective. Welcome. So I'm Tao Yi. I'm an associate professor of chemistry and chemical biology. I joined UC Merced in 2007. So even now, sometimes I still struggle to believe what we have accomplished over our short history. So I'm not going to repeat what other people mentioned. So I just want to point out one thing about how the university is changing this region. As you know, the Central Valley struggled to encourage young people to stay, but a number of our graduates chose to stay. They become teachers, professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. So they're creating new opportunities. Their enthusiasm, energy, and skills are really transforming this place. So as we So all these accomplishments were made possible not only by the resourcefulness of our students, the dedication of faculty and the staff. We heard all the stories about everyone here has to wear multiple hats. But these accomplishments were also made possible by this collaboration between the campus and UCLP. So as you consider the next leader for the UC system, UC Merced, hopefully this leader can understand the challenges faced by the new campus and also the opportunity that it presents. So there are a number of questions as UC Merced enters an important new phase, how to continue to build upon the success of educating our undergraduate students, how to become R1, and what do we do after Project 2020? How can UC Merced contribute to medical education? And how do we tackle the structural budget deficit that ties our hands in so many ways over the past years? Thank you.
Thank you. So those are all the folks who have signed up. We have a little bit of time. If anybody in the audience would like to say things, come forward now.
How much time do I get? No, thank you. I will definitely keep this brief. My name is Joshua Veers, and it's a pleasure to stand before you today. I've been here for 6.5 years. I am now a professor of environmental engineering. I also serve as director for something with a really long name. You may have heard of it, CITRIS, Center for the Information Technology Research in the Interest of Society, and the Banatao Institute. And it's in that role that I've had the opportunity to help push this campus in a few new directions, and that is in ag-food technology. And partly this is because of my experience through CITRIS and being exposed through the sister campuses at UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UC Santa Cruz, to partnerships to really push technology in new and innovative ways. As you may know, and from the way you've heard from our colleagues, we're definitely competing, but we're not quite there yet. And in some ways, we're at a disadvantage when we compete in traditional research areas. Now, that said, we've benefited from those relationships, and we're now starting to kind of accelerate, if you will, into some new areas. And I've found that ag-food technology meets a couple of substantive needs. One, as you know, California is a world global leader in technology. We're also a global leader in agricultural food production. We're not yet a world leader in agricultural technology for sustainability and sustainable food production. It's a direction that we're moving, but it's something that's desperately needed in this particular region. As a global leader in food production, this state can set a pace, but most of that effort is happening in other places. It's not yet happening in the San Joaquin Valley. And it's for that reason that I would suggest to you that if the University of California, Merced is going to be the university for the Valley, that we need the resources to be able to compete in this new space and focus our efforts in new and innovative ways around sustainable food production. In my opinion, and given my 25 years of service credit to the University of California, we will not be able to do that without an affiliation in a formal way with ANR and perhaps becoming an agricultural experiment station. As you well know, there's a significant amount of funding that comes from the state of California to AES, and that presently goes to 3 campuses, Berkeley, Davis, Riverside. I believe UC Merced should be the 4th AES campus. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Charles Nace, Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs here at UC Merced. One of the things that has been of great value that the President has brought to the UC system over the past years is her engagement with our students. And so one of the things that I hope that is considered is how that engagement and the roles that she's played, as well as some of the initiatives that she launched, continue as we move forward. The Global Climate Leadership Council was one of the initiatives launched by the president. That council not only looks at how campuses do practices to address the climate needs in our communities, but also how the research that happens by our faculty and the engagement of our students continues to move forward. Vibrant work that we are doing around global climate through the University of California. Her work with our undocumented students has also been precedent, and the fact that we need to continue to focus on that. And so I want to make sure that we don't forget and bring forward some of those initiatives that she's been doing on that front. Her willingness to step into and take on full head the issues of sexual violence and sexual harassment on our campuses, and making sure that we have policies that are clear and transparent and processes that support survivors of sexual violence and sexual assault has also been one of her great champions, and I hope that we don't lose sight of that. And finally, she has also really championed graduate student research. Her creation and initiation of Grad Slam and the opportunity for our graduate students to be able to tell their stories in ways that celebrate the work that they are doing has been powerful. As was mentioned, the president has come to UC Merced several times, and one of those times she actually came on move-in day. She helped meet our families, much like Mark did, and was out here pushing in carts and talking with parents. That level of engagement by the president of the University of California sends an incredible signal that this is about the holistic approach as we support the excellence we do in the University of California around research, teaching, and public service. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean Lynch. I'm the Executive Director of Auxiliaries here on campus. I work for Mark. I want to talk about 2 times that I almost went to UC. I'm a product of the community college system, and then I went to Cal State. When I first graduated from high school, I saw the UC system, and I looked at the cost, and I couldn't afford it. And I really wanted to go. And I applied, and I didn't check to see if I ever got in. To this day, I have no idea if I got in, because I couldn't afford it. And when I went through my next several years, I joined a company very early on so I could afford to go to school. And I was very fortunate to do well in that company, and I was very fortunate to get a lot of experience in accounting and finance. And I went to a Cal State, because the Cal State was more affordable. And it didn't require me to live on campus, and it didn't require me to use many of the services that today I represent. When I finally got the second chance to go here, and I chose that Cal State, it was painful, because I got into a UC that time, and I chose not to go, because I couldn't afford to take the time off my work, because it wasn't accessible. The third time was now. And I got a great job not here, a really great job. And then I got a really late offer from here, and it was a far worse payroll. And I was about to say no. And I went to a party with my friends, and I talked about what I was upset about the lack of accessibility that I faced. And they all said, take the job. They said, go figure out why it happened and try and fix it. Today I came to UC, or about a year ago, and I joined and I looked at the financials, and I was really dismayed by not the lack of financial health, but the lack of help that was shared by the rest of the UC community for UC Merced in the auxiliary space, and the lack of transparency and lack of visibility. Even though it's a huge component of what stopped me from going. And it was a huge pain for me. And as I looked out and I had the wonderful opportunity to meet all the other auxiliary directors at UC and talk to them, I realized that many of them faced similar problems that we did. And yet we didn't have a joint system, and we didn't have UCOP helping us. And what Greg Canfield said, and what Elizabeth Gunther said, and what Mark said, all ring true. There's a centralization problem. Why is it that we don't have more answers coming from the top? Why is it that we don't have more guidance? We want affordable housing desperately. It's what stopped me from coming to UC. It's what stops thousands of well-qualified candidates from coming here. And by having a greater economy of scale, we can do that. And that comes from the top. And I really hope that when you look for a new president, you look for somebody who understands administration and understands that economy of scale can happen on a huge scale of the entire UC. And I hope that that person understands that that administrative piece is integral to the research piece and the educational piece that I hope that one day I will get to take on again. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for coming to UC Merced. My name's Chu Her. I'm also the campus chief of police, but I'm not here on that part. I'm here as a parent. My kids are in grade school, and I came to work at UC Merced in 2005. I didn't think I'd be here that long, right? One of the things I want to stress is, as a parent and also as a chief of police, we have a mentoring program through our police department that goes out to the grade schools. We recruit UC students and we send them out there for everything from social skills building to academics, and you name it, we're there. As a matter of fact, next Friday, we're doing a beautification project at one of our local schools. So things like that are things that UC Merced makes a big difference at. As you consider the next president of this great university, I'm hoping you look at the bigger impacts of how UC impacts Merced and the greater region of UC, that UC Merced services. I can tell you one of the biggest things that I've seen in my kids is they know what a university is, and they're 11, 7, and 5, right? They know the difference between a community college, and they know the difference between UC Merced and a state school. UC Merced matters, and as you're looking for the next president, UC Merced does matter, and I hope you consider that. Thank you.
I just didn't want us to leave today without bringing one issue to attention, and that's our DACA students. And I'm sure Janet Napolitano, our current president, has been very much an advocate for our DACA students. There's a Supreme Court decision looming, and I know that all of us here are really concerned about what's going to happen depending on the outcome of that particular case. But those are probably our most vulnerable students, and I know that it matters a lot to our faculty and our students and our staff that we take them into consideration and provide them every assurance of being able to continue and receive their education. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the panel have anything in particular they want? Regent Leib, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had one question. First of all, I was going to make a comment today, just being in Merced. The greatest fact I heard today, I saw a bunch of young kids from the local high school, or local elementary school coming by, and Nathan mentioned to me that the number of applicants to the University of California in general has doubled since UC Merced is open, because they bring all these kids here from the Central Valley. I'm sorry, from the Central Valley. So,
great. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for their time and consideration that they've invested in the comments and presentations today. We really appreciate your input and the opportunity you've given the special committee to hear your views. Your input can continue beyond today. A special email address has been established that can be accessed through the presidential search webpage established by the Regent's office. You can find this on our Board of Regents homepage. We know we've got a lot of work to do over the course of the next couple of months, and really, really, really do appreciate your comments. I think as we've done these forums throughout the system, the different issues and focuses that come up on different campuses certainly was highlighted today. So I thank you again for welcoming us here today. And with that, we will conclude this forum. Thank you.